Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Glory Warhammer 40k video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever critical eye over another 10th edition datasheet. But rather than looking at one that is specifically Imperial Guard, like a Hellhound or an infantry squad, rather we're going to be delving into the murky world of allies. You see, there are a myriad of Imperial agents and Inquisitors and other forces that you can draw upon as a Guard commander, many of which have important abilities or are just kind of cool and useful to have in your army. At the end of the day, allies are just another tool in the toolbox, and as Imperial Guard players, we need every advantage we can get to hold back the heretics, the traitors, and the Xenos. And with that in mind, let's now take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of Inquisitor Coteaz and dive right into today's episode. Let's begin with a deep dive of Coteaz's datasheet. Let's understand what stats and war gear he is bringing to the table. Straight away, I can say as a Guard player that Coteaz's stat line is very impressive. Some of it's fairly standard issue, like the movement of 6 inches, toughness 3, and OC of 1. You can find that on most Guard characters, to be fair. But where he really shines is with that 2+ save, and he's got 4 wounds and a leadership of 6+. Nearly every Guard unit in the game, whether it's an officer or it's a tank, has got leadership of 7+, and that can make battleshock rolls a little dicey. 6+ is definitely not something to turn your nose up at. And frankly, a 2+ save with 4 wounds, and don't forget a 5+ invulnerable save, makes him one of the most durable characters that Guard players can slot into their list. Even, dare I say, competing with Iron Hand Strachan. Strachan might have the 4th invulnerable save, but Coteaz has got a 2+ save, where Strachan's only got a 3+ for his bionics. But Coteaz can't just take a punch, he can also give one out as well. His ranged abilities aren't much to write home about, but they're kind of interesting. He has a bolt pistol, which no one cares about. He has then got Psychic Blast, which I like to believe comes from the bird, the big psychic bird that he has on his arm. Additionally, that did used to be able to attack things, so I'm thinking that's where the Psychic Blast is coming from. It's got an 18-inch range. It fires D6 shots. It hits on a 3+ at Strength 3, AP Mass 1, and 2 damage. Now, at first glance, that might seem whatever, but it does have some nice abilities attached to it. It's anti-infantry 4+, so that Strength 3 actually means very little, because you're not going to be damaging vehicles this thing, but you can shoot this into any infantry, whether it is a guardsman or a custodes, and it's still going to be wounding on 4+, which is very tasty. Also, the AP Mass 1 isn't such a bad thing as well, because this thing does devastating wounds, and with the fact that it's got 2 damage, I think that Psychic Blast is not something that's going to be sweeping away hordes of enemies or toppling down entire phalanxes of custodes, but it might do a cheeky couple of wounds here and there. But where Coteaz gets interesting for me personally is in close combat, because he is equipped with a Nemesis Demon Hammer. In the past, Thunder Hammers, Demon Hammers, they've been very similar to Power Fist. They've taken the expected strength of the unit and doubled it. So Marines would go from Strength 4 to Strength 8, Humans would go from Strength 3 to Strength 6, Coteaz took one look at that and went, nah, not for me, my shit's customized. Because he is rocking 3 attacks, hitting on a 3+ at Strength 9, AP minus 3, 3 damage. That's pretty bloody spicy. When you think of the damage output that most of your other Guard characters can do, it doesn't even come close to that. Your standard Castellan or platoon commander with a Power Fist will be putting out, sure, the same number of attacks, hitting on 3s, but only at Strength 6, only at AP Mass 2, and only at 2 damage. Coteaz is bringing more strength, more AP, and more damage to the table. Honestly, if you're looking to add some combat punch to your infantry's blobs, then you could do a lot worse than taking Coteaz. I did a video a few months ago talking about how Combat Guard was a thing and it was actually going to do quite well. And in that video, I talked about things like tech priests and preachers and stuff like that. Honestly, I did Coteaz a misservice by not mentioning him in that video. He is definitely the kind of character you'd want to add in a combat army, simply because he is going to benefit from many of the buffs that you get on your guard units. So if you include him in a Catachan blob, he is going to go to strength 10, AP -4 on the turn that they charge. If you, I mean strength 10? That's actually legitimately threatening vehicles now. Not even Strachan can really have the strength to start knocking down medium armor. But that strength 10 Nemesis Demon Hammer in the unit of Catachans, that means that there's a good chance that vehicles and dreadnoughts, stuff like that you're going to come up against, and monsters, you're going to be wounding them on 4s. That is a really big difference. Fishing for 5 and 6s can be tricky, but aiming for a couple of 4s, not too bad at all. And at AP -4, just take a step back and just think about that. You've got a guy in your unit of Catachans who would be hitting at -4. You're kicking someone right down onto that invulnerable save, or for a lot of marine equivalents or lighter infantry, they're not even getting a save against that, and he's splatting them every single time. Even if Coteaz goes into Terminators with their 3 wounds, just splat, 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 every wound he gets through. I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see what a big unit of Catachans led by both Strachan and Coteaz could do. I think that would be a genuinely serious combat threat that, if your opponent wasn't aware of it or underestimated it, would really catch them off guard and could do serious damage. Strachan on his own is a beast. Strachan and Coteaz might just be secret sauce. But it's not just Catachans. You've also got Deathcore of Krieg. If Coteaz is in a Krieg unit and that Krieg unit has lost one of its members, he gets +1 to hit because he's in the unit, and that unit, when it takes a casualty, Grim Demeanor, +1 to hit. So now he's hitting on 2s. If that Krieg unit is below half strength, and if it's charging up the board, getting into some scraps, it probably will be, right? If that Krieg unit is below half strength, he's going to get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. That means the Nemesis Demon Hammer, again, will be able to take on vehicles, any vehicle, any monster, wounding on 4s, and anything that is strength toughness 9, he's wounding on 3s, and anything that's less than toughness 9, he's going to be wounding on 2s. Even the heaviest infantry, like Terminators and Custodes, they are going to get wounded on 2s by Coteaz, who's leading a mashed up unit of Kriegers. What I really like about Coteaz is how he unlocks the potential for another combat blob in your force. When I looked at Combat Guard previously, I worked out that realistically you could get about 4 decent combat units. But frankly, that might not be enough. If you're storming up the field and not only taking enemy fire, but also getting into scraps with them, so you're taking their enemy melee potential damage as well, 4 blobs might winnow away very quickly. But if you've got Coteaz, that opens up another blob. And you don't necessarily have to stick him in Catachans and Kriegers. You've also got Inquisitorial Warbands. I've done a whole video on these guys and how I think they're a massively underrated unit. But they are half decent in close combat. Every Acolyte comes with a number of attacks, and you've also got that they're very durable, and there's the Demon Host in there as well. An army that I'd love to play around with, and I think would have some serious legs, if you were going down the Combat Guard route, would be those 4 combat blobs of like Guard Infantry, and then support that with 2 Inquisitorial Warbands. One led by Coteaz, and another by Eisenhorn, because he's no slouch in combat as well, and I'll be doing a video on him in the future. To be clear here, and to set expectations a little bit, I'm not saying that Combat Guard is going to be suddenly meta. It's just a style of play that I think is personally very fun. It's nice to fix bayonets, charge, drive the men, and all that kind of good stuff. And if you're going to go down that playstyle, you don't just want it to be a meme, you want it to be a dream. And so you want to have every option available to you to try and give that some play. It is a ton of fun when you can make a combat guard army work because, well, it always catches the opponent off guard. And also, it just feels kind of funny when you're getting to actually be on the offensive for once rather than just holding the line. It's definitely an army I want to check out and try out at a tournament as well. Attention, guardsmen. This is an announcement by the Departamento Militarum. Element Games is an official sponsor of the Mordianglory channel. They offer up to 20% off Warhammer 40k and 10% off full action and other game systems. Use the link down in the description to save money and support the channel. Anyone not using the link will be referred to the local commissariat. Also, don't forget that if you use referral code TIM3921, then you will receive double store credit, saving even more money on your future purchases. That's all for now. But coming back to Earth and refocusing on the topic at hand, which is Coteaz, now let's have a look at his abilities. He has leader and he is an assigned agent. That's what he gets from his core ability and from his faction abilities. In terms of datasheet abilities, he has authority of the Inquisition, which means that he can get in transports of other units. So he can get inside a Chimera if he's part of an infantry squad, for example. He's also got Malefic Wardings, which give you a 5+ feel no pain to him and his unit against psychic attacks made by demon models. That is unbelievably specific and is probably not going to be very useful. Frankly, the guard has much better sources of feel no pain. You've got Death Corps Marshal, which brings a 5+ to the table against everything. And also you've got the Platoon Command Squad, which has got the Medipack, which brings a 6 feel no pain versus everything. So I wouldn't worry too much about Malefic Wardings. It feels like it's very much a fluff ability. It is psychic attacks and attacks made by demon models, so I guess if you face a lot of Thousand Suns, it might be useful, but it's situational at best. What is cool about him is he's got Spy Network. Each time your opponent gains a CP as a result of an ability, roll 1d6. On a 2+, you also gain a CP. So if your opponent it just gains their normal CP at the beginning of the turn, this doesn't come into play. But for example, if you were playing against another guard player who had a Lord Solar, who allows you to regain a CP, who allows you to get an extra CP at the beginning of the turn, you would on a 2+ get a chance to also gain a CP. Also, if you were playing against the guard player and they had something like a Voxcaster and they regained a CP via that, you would also get a chance to gain a CP there as well. 2+ is fairly reliable as well. It's going to go off more than not. The only problem with Spy Network is, again, it's a little situational because you might come against an opponent that just doesn't gain bonus CP. Last thing to mention about Coteaz is his points value is alright. He clocks in at 75 points. He's not super cheap, but he's not prohibitively expensive. However, that is at the time of recording. It may change in the future. We are due a Munitorum Field Manual update. If his points were to go up by 10, he might be a little too expensive. In all honesty, I'd like to see Coteaz come down like 5 points. And if he came down 10 or more points, that would probably make him an auto-include, especially in terms of guard combat armies. Overall, I think Coteaz is a decent character and definitely an asset that guard commanders can take advantage of. He's not too expensive, he's got some useful abilities with that Spy Network, and his combat punch is definitely something you want to look at if you're trying to get into bayonet range. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man! Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think Coteaz has a place or is he a bit expensive? And how would you run him? In an Inquisitorial Warband or in a Guard Infantry blob? Don't forget to smash that like button if you've enjoyed this episode. It makes a huge difference. It really boosts the video with the algorithm. And also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure, and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, and they have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a big shout out to Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Thank you guys so much. Your incredible generosity is a massive part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time, and it is a big driving force behind the channel. But I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.